Welcome to the family with
co-host Catherine Brandt,
Alex Brandt Bernard Rasmussen,
Michael Bryant,
and Andy Brandt Bernard.
See, look at that. Nobody talked over one another. It was wonderful.
Hey, we made it through the intro.
You guys did a wonderful job.
Look at us.
No question about it. So what's the latest? What's going on? Anything in the world we should know about?
Am I going to have to read this book before it goes out?
What book?
The book he's writing.
Ugh.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, Catherine. We talked about the fact that Catherine is insisting that I write a book about my life with Bob Sansevier.
Your life with not your life with Bob Sansevier. To write a book with
Bob Sansevier
about your life.
Mom, are you insisting this? Is this true?
Yeah. Well, he's been talking about writing a book for
a long time.
Yes.
20 years.
And then decided I didn't want to.
And
I remember you started one, like, it had to have been 20 years ago.
Yes, I have that somewhere.
And yeah, you just never went anywhere.
Well,
I mean, it was like one page.
Do I get at least half a chapter?
Sure, absolutely.
What I think would be great, because I mean, there are a lot of people that are interested in radio.
Yeah.
But the age is getting older, and if you're going to write one, I think now's the time.
No, the target market they're losing their eyesight, Dad. They're not going to be able to read.
Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Read your own book on
Can
tape.
I read the audiobook? That's on my bucket list.
But
Read
he
an
has like
audiobook?
one of the greatest
No, I
voices
know.
of all
I'm
time.
kidding.
He'd do the Jerry Spence
I'm
and read his
hurt.
own book.
There you go.
We have one of the greatest voices of all time.
Nah, not his.
I'm
We could
offended.
do a version.
Alex version.
Yeah, you could do the
You
intro.
got to do the Alex version.
I could
do
write
my-
a kid's version and she could narrate it.
No, but if you think about it, you came up at the exact right time for radio to become huge.
Why?
Because that's
Vaudeville.
when radio was huge. I mean, the shock jock era and
That's
all that
true.
stuff,
Yeah,
it
it was.
became
Yep.
gigantic. People love, I mean, radio, I mean, people used to sit around and talk about TV shows and morning shows.
That's true.
Morning,
Yes, they did.
And you also had a very interesting career in voiceover, which a lot of people, I think that's
Yeah.
very interesting, because most people, I didn't even know what it was when I met you. I'm like, what's voiceover? I don't even know what that, I didn't know you could make that into a career. So that was also very interesting. And then you were, you surfed through that. And then when the tide came crashing in on radio, because of, in my opinion, I think that corporations took the soul right out of radio.
They did, yeah.
They started using it as a
Absolutely.
finance situation and buying and selling it like it's just nothing. And the talent kind of went out of it. And it was sort of like the same time that comedy took a dive, because you just couldn't say anything anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think all of that history is, and then podcasting started being a thing, and then you got in on that. So I mean, you kind of were born at the right time for a lot of things, but unfortunately, radio, I don't think anybody thought that it was going to be on the downslide when it was, because I mean, digital just, I mean, what did it take? 7-8 years?
Yeah,
before
no, it
it
was
sort of took
pretty
over
quick.
everything.
That's about it, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that there's a lot more than just, I mean, there was a lot of career stuff. You know, a lot of great stories about people you've interviewed, management coming and going, ownership of the station, all of that. Beside, you just have a lot of great stories just because of all those years doing radio.
Well, there are a lot of stories, that's true.
Yeah, I think it'd be a very interesting book. I mean, tying it in with the history of radio and podcasting, I think would be an interesting read.
I think that's a really good idea. I just think I got to read it before it goes out.
Hey,
See if there's
what
anybody
difference
needing-
does it make anymore? All names will be changed to protect the innocent.
And I just want to count the number of times he says I'm not one or the other, so that Alex can collect her $5.
Yes. Got no dog in this
I
fight.
got no dog in this fight.
No, I mean, really.
But-
and it would give you an interesting project to do,
Hmm?
which I think is also something that's great to have a new, interesting project.
Yeah,
And you
it's
get to
like-
work with Bob. Bob would be your writer.
Oh boy, there's a thrill a minute.
We got to talk to, I mean, I know I talked to Louie Nanny about this when you were very interested in doing this about 10 years ago, but then all kinds of crazy crap happened with your career and
But
it started getting to be, it would just have been a negative experience. But Louie Nanny's written what, 3 books, 4 books? And
Has he?
all on hockey, right?
Huh.
In his career. So, I mean,
Well, why not?
So he could write. I mean, just bouncing off the #1 show in America, you got a lot of things you could go off of.
Yeah, that is very, very true. I didn't even know. Do you know that nobody told me that when it was happening? I was never told it was the #1 show in America. I was never told that we had the highest ratings of anybody and that I was the first person to ever do something like that. They never told me that. I found out later about that. Isn't that weird?
well,
Yeah.
I mean, you knew the ratings were. Nobody was
No,
thinking
oh no. They didn't give me the whole layout.
Oh, like national numbers.
Yeah, it was a real thrill. How many paragraphs should I do on people that I helped out who then stabbed me right in the back? Should I have a couple?
whole chapter?
Yeah.
That'd be a whole chapter of
That
that.
would be maybe 3 chapters.
See, that's why I'm reading the thing before it goes out.
Yeah.
I need approval from multiple.
You can look at the legal side of it, are you?
Don't have to use real names.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
I'm using all real names. No question about it. All right.
Yeah, you're
Hot
right.
water for that.
Probably not a great idea.
We'll be fine. It'll all work out one way or the other. If I do or I don't, doesn't matter to me. I don't care. It all works out in the
If you
end.
do what?
You either do the book or not.
I think you should do it. I mean, why? What's the downside? If nobody buys it, you self-publish it. You don't
Yeah.
have any. All you have is your time in it, and then you've got a book for the ages for your family,
that's
I was
true.
gonna
There
say
you
Fawn
go.
and Sage can read it when they're older.
and they can give it to their
Their
children and
kids.
their children,
Yep.
and people will. Because how many bop bops have written a book?
Not many bop bops. It's
Right.
probably
Pop
true.
pops in general.
Yeah.
So,
I suppose that's true. What else is going on? We got a team that won a football game yesterday, which was pretty good.
What's
The
up with
Wolves lost,
Vikings?
but the Vikings look great. That second half was amazing yesterday.
Certainly was.
What are we at? 11-2.
11-2.
That'd be correct.
What is the best team? 12 and
Detroit is
Lions, yeah.
have 1 loss.
Yep.
only 1 loss. Oh,
Correct.
okay.
And
Until
Philadelphia.
we play them.
No, we've already lost to them.
Oh,
but
okay, never mind.
we have 1 more game with them at the end of the season, and then Philadelphia, I think, has 2 losses, I believe. So it's it'll be interesting. And we got Green Bay in back with 4.
So are we like a shoe in for the playoffs at this point?
By now, yeah,
Yes.
they'd
Okay.
be a lock to make the playoffs. It's just seeding. If you can get the 1 or 2 seed, you get a bye in the first round, which is what
Right.
you want. But they'll get the highest seed if they don't get the buys. They'll get the highest seed, so they'll get the lowest team coming in. So there's some good and some bad.
No doubt. Well, so yeah, maybe we will how to do that.
Yeah, well, I've watched more Vikings games this year than I have because they're actually winning some games.
Yep. You saw your boy Kirk
Yeah.
throw
I
up a
know.
couple interceptions yesterday.
Yeah, and it occurs to me, not that I'm a football genius,
They're
but it seems like we can only play 1 half, like with a lot of energy.
Kind of seems like
We have a team that that comes at us like full board. Both halves. I think we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it depends on the offense is really only put together halves all season.
Yep.
The defense has played,
Yes.
they played great.
Yep.
That defense has played so well.
Yeah, but don't you
It'll
have
be
to have
interesting if we
everything
can hold
to
that coach.
go? Don't you have to have everything to go all the way?
No, you can get to the Super Bowl with a good defense, but you need an offense to put some points on. And we've got the weapons to put points up. It's there as long as the quarterback can keep his head screwed on straight and not do something dumb.
What do you think? Do you think our quarterback's got the chops, Tom?
Well, he's shown some good play lately. There's no doubt about that. He played a hell of a game yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Plus,
So,
he's
yeah,
a real
we'll see.
humble guy, which has helped a
Yeah.
lot. Because last year they had to always worry about what Kirk thought. And Kirk had to do his little dances and wear his chains and all that stuff. And, this
Yeah.
this guy seems happy to be there and just waiting to cash that check next year.
I'm just happy to be making $50 million a year.
Yeah. So
There you have it.
What is he
contract?
making?
What's his name?
Darnold, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Darnold.
It's like Arnold, but not.
Exactly.
With the D.
1 year, $10 million contract with a $6.2 million signing bonus.
That's not that excessive for
Gross.
a quarterback, is
Yeah,
it?
he'll get more. Well, he was pretty much drifting away. He'd been a first-round draft pick, hadn't played very well, so they were able to get him for a really good deal. But next year, he's really going to cash in.
Well, if we win the
even
Super
if it
Bowl,
is.
he's going to be making $100 million next year.
Well, if you won the Super Bowl, your dad could just die happy.
That's
You'd be done.
true.
Finally, God.
After all this time.
He's a ginger.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darnold is.
He's
Yeah.
also like 11 years old.
No, he's older than
27.
that. Yeah, he's not old at
Probably
all.
plays Fortnite.
Yeah. he
Probably.
plays Fortnite.
Probably watches Gypsy Toilet.
Yeah.
I
Did
think so.
you see Soto's contract yesterday?
Yep.
Holy tamale, $770 million.
How could he possibly
What?
be worth that?
Yeah, it's the biggest one ever in
It doesn't
baseball.
make any sense.
No, I
Wait a minute.
he's
Say
not
that
gonna
number
play.
again.
770 million. The Red Sox offered him 700 million.
For 5 lifetimes or what?
It's for I think 15 years. I think they signed him for
15
Still.
years.
What sport is this?
baseball.
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 Baseball, they have more money.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know how, but they do.
It's crazy.
Somehow they got all the money.
But he's the biggest, the highest paid player of all time. So I don't get it. So
I don't either.
Weird.
Insanity.
You know what's so great about that? When I was a little boy and the Twins came from Washington, D.C., moved to the Twin Cities and started playing, I believe, in 1961. And I do remember in 61, 62, 63, that era, Bob Allison in the offseason was a car salesman.
oh yeah, well,
And they all had outside jobs because they didn't make enough money to get through the year. So during the winter, they had to have a job.
yep. Well, Phil Esposito's wife, when he was MVP, didn't want him to go back to the NHL because he was making more money doing construction and he was MVP at the NHL. And she's like, "You're making more money doing this and playing that silly game."
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
Sure is.
But it's different. And then I don't know if you saw Dave Parker and Dick Allen both got into the Hall of Fame yesterday.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yep. Dick Allen hit a home run in 1973 or 74 that is still going. He hit it out of Fenway Park. It was the most incredible home run I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Says a guy from Rhode Island who was a Red Sox fan his whole life.
Yeah, but no, Dick Allen was playing for the White Sox then. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is right.
yeah.
So what else is happening, Alex? What do you got cooking?
Do I got cooking?
Except for
They
blowing
did
your
the
nose.
Santa thing yesterday.
We did. We
She was
did
doing
the
weight.
Santa thing.
brunch.
She's doing light weight work apparently.
Oh, yeah,
Brunch. It's supposed to be light. And
We have an
not at all.
Ethan tale that Melissa wants me to relay.
No.
Okay.
It's related to the Santa thing that we went to.
Oh,
So Saturday, we go to our local Santa meeting thing. So it's like you got a guy, he's Santa, he's on a chair, you can take a picture and so forth. And we get to him, and Ethan isn't really into it. He doesn't want to stand too close to him or anything like that or talk to him. And we're like, okay, well, he was like this last year too. He was weird about it. That's fine. Then on Sunday, we do another Santa thing over at the club. And this time he wants to sit right next to him and tell him what he wants for Christmas.
When Fawn and Sage were there this
Fawn
time
and Sage
too.
were there for moral
Yeah.
support, which
So
probably
that
helped.
Probably helped a lot.
And at the end, after they got their picture taken, he goes, "I love you, Santa."
No.
oh, see?
And
Nice.
our theory is that the reason he took to this Santa was because he had a real beard.
Mm.
The guy on Saturday had a fake beard.
Mm.
And I think it's like, what are you hiding?
I don't even like it.
Well, no, it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones with the real actual beard, it's always a much better
Yeah.
setup. And I think
Yeah.
even kids can tell. It's like,
Yeah.
why are you wearing a fake beard? If you're wearing a fake beard, then
Yeah.
you're clearly not Santa because Santa has a real beard.
Yes.
Well, it could
So, I
just be
mean-
something about being exposed to Santa, like he got used to it.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, but after one day,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kids usually adjust pretty fast.
When he likes Santa, he just doesn't like. Well, and like when we went to Sam's Christmas Village, there was a Santa there, and he had a real beard, and he liked that Santa.
Yeah. Well, because it looks like it's like a normal person.
Yeah,
Fake beard is much more.
it's like way too white.
Yeah, and it's like all over his whole.
Impossibly full. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I get it.
It just doesn't look right.
Yeah, I get it. Oh yeah, they were all talking about what they wanted for Christmas, and Santa was asking them questions and stuff like that. And then we were like getting ready to leave, and he was turned to, because Ethan and Sage were on one side of him. It was Santa, Sage, Ethan, and he was talking to them. And then Ethan at one point goes, "Talk to Fonnie."
And then he goes, "Alex, come talk to Santa."
Yeah. And I was like, "What's
Okay.
going on, Santa? Good to see you." And my
That
kids
works
are at the
out.
age where, well, Fawn has always known
Yeah,
that like the Santas that you see aren't like the real deal.
mm-hmm.
They're
Spoiler
helpers.
alert for anyone.
They're just
They're like they're messengers.
they report to the real guy.
Yeah, like they're
Mhm.
spreading holiday cheer, and it's like a messenger thing.
Yep.
And like Fawn has always, I think she knows the whole thing is a hoax. For years,
She's
she's
getting
been like,
there?
no, for years she's been like, so how does this work? You know, but
How
like
does this work?
she wants to believe in like the magic of it, and so she continues to just like go with it. But
Yeah.
like she'll just ask
She is
random
the
questions.
age where, yeah.
But she's been doing that since she was like 4.
Yeah, but I mean, she's the age where they like stop believing entirely. So
No, she's
watch
still
out for that.
She's still leaning into it.
One of her friends is going to tell her, and it's going to
she has
her
friends
world.
that don't do Santa.
Mm.
I
Yeah, but they
remember
don't like. They're not being like, "Oh, you know, Santa's not real," right? Because they just don't care.
Yeah.
Andy.
Right.
You
When I've always been very philosophical about Santa to my children. I'm like, he's real for those who believe, and those who don't
There you
believe,
go.
he's not real. And I always have kind of been more like, Santa's the spirit of the holiday, and it's not. I haven't been like, yes, there is a man that shows up in our house,
Here he comes.
drops off these presents. Like, I
breaks
don't.
in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember, Andy, you had a friend growing up that kept on scamming his parents into thinking that he believed in Santa until he was like 13 so he could get more presents. I was like, and she's like, he
Yeah.
still believes in Santa. I'm like, no, he doesn't.
I bet he.
No,
I don't think
Well,
so.
I still.
there's
believe
a
in
strong
Santa.
disincentive to give it up. So
That is true.
that's true.
Because if you stop believing, then there goes the Santa presents, I
Mhm.
guess.
Well,
But
and I think
I don't know.
it's.
I think that kid got everything you wanted. So
I think so. Does
Yeah.
does everyone remember when they were told, like the moment that they stopped believing?
I
'Cause
remember
I
I was
do.
in
I
Florida.
100% do.
I remember I was in Florida and I got really mad.
Yeah, one of my friends, we were just like in the Dayton house, upstairs, and all of a sudden he's just like, was talking about Santa, and he's like, Santa's not real. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's made up by your parents, and I remember it happening.
Was it Dylan?
I actually don't remember who it was.
Dylan.
Was it
It's either
Dylan?
Dylan or
I
Matt.
bet it was
for
Dylan.
sure.
It was
Yeah.
Dylan.
It was probably Dylan.
I don't have any memory of ever thinking it was real.
No?
I don't. Nothing.
I mean, I honestly don't really remember believing either, but I
Mhm.
remember when I stopped believing, if that
Mhm.
makes any sense.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very strange.
Yeah. I still believe in Santa.
So I have a question for everyone on the show here.
Yes.
We have a new generation coming up that's not getting married and not having children. We know many, many families that have children that are not going to get married. They're not going to have children. So what are we going to? I mean, are the kid numbers going to drop to a third of what they are now? What are you going to do with all that stuff?
Yeah, there's a bulge or there's a drop supposedly is going to happen. I want to say in 2032 or 35.
Right.
Where they're going to see a major change where there's going to be a shift of all the people that are there. It's going to be a shift that financially is going to be better for the country because of the numbers. Apparently, I don't know. So, but that there won't be as many needs for some of the stuff the government does. So we're going to see that definitely with that
so
change.
10 years, housing prices should go way down.
Uh-huh.
There's fewer people. They
There you
won't
go.
need all that housing.
So many houses.
But here's the thing: all of the people that are choosing to not get married and not have kids, or get married and not have kids. I don't know. I feel like everybody has always known a handful or a couple. Everybody's always known a couple of people that never were able to have kids or decided to not have kids. Like I, out of my friends, currently have 4 friends that don't have children, but then 3 of them want children. They're just not at that point in their
But that's
life.
the thing is
Oh,
the age is
You
getting
know?
older very
Yeah.
rapidly. I mean, like 50 years
Yeah.
ago, the average age of first kid was probably like 20.
Yep.
And now it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Teens.
God, it's got to be almost 30 now.
Yeah, like one of my friends just is engaged and she wants kids. She's younger than me though. One of my friends just got married and they're a gay couple, so they'll have to adopt, but I don't know, that's so expensive. I don't know if that'll happen or not. One friend has always been like, no, I don't want kids. And then I'm trying to think of one of my friends is still single. And she's like, I do want kids, but she's single and she's 35. And so she's like, I don't know if it'll ever
Hurry up.
happen,
So 50 years ago, it was 21. Now it is 27 and a half.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Keeps
it's,
changing.
people
I
are
mean-
just
Really?
waiting.
I had a sister-in-law that had a child at 42,
I wouldn't be doing that.
43. Yeah,
Yeah.
she had her 4th child at 43, I think it was. Yeah, because he's about to turn 2.
That's far more. That's
very advanced.
but
Maternal age.
you're
But
seeing
I mean,
more of that all the time.
40-year-olds, pregnant women are not all that uncommon, really.
Mhm.
Whereas before it used to be like, oh my gosh, you're 1,000. Why do you have a baby?
Yeah, there you go.
And now it's like kind of more typical. I don't know. Like when I was going to like pregnancy yoga and stuff like that, I was by far the youngest in every single class. Everybody else was in their 30s, mid to late 30s. And I was like young 20s.
And also
it's-
with people living longer,
Yeah.
that's a bigger deal.
Is that why we're having fertility issues? Is because people are waiting so long?
That's maybe true.
I don't think so.
I don't know, because
No?
I think it's largely related to obesity and lack of exercise. There's a
Terrible food.
it's a very strong correlation between the overall health and the fertility rate.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I don't know too many people that have had fertility struggles, but
I don't really either.
all of the people that I do know that have had fertility struggles are healthy.
Hmm.
Well,
Well,
they're saying a lot of it has to do with all this microplastic stuff.
I don't know if I buy
that lowers
that.
testosterone. That's what they're saying.
If anyone's got
I don't know.
microplastics all in their system, it's me.
Yes.
We got no problem making kids. So.
Well, you have a lot of other problems, though.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, he's not.
Debunked.
Andy's not. Andy's the first person to talk about how many problems he has.
Yeah, I certainly
with his
do.
health.
Like
So
what? He
His
doesn't.
health
Waiting for him to
problems.
stop.
yeah.
That's basically all I'm doing right now.
He'll be fine. Don't worry about a thing.
I
Right?
don't know. I mean, I've got 2 nieces, my sister's kids. Neither one of them had children. One of my brothers has a daughter, hasn't had children.
Nope.
I mean,
They tried though.
Did
I
they?
know, but it just because I mean, I'm literally when my sister was coming up, it would be unthinkable to not have children. I mean, it just didn't. I mean, most people had kids. It was very rare somebody had fertility issues where they couldn't
Most-
get pregnant.
Well, that was
Most
also-
people still have kids is the thing.
Yeah.
That's also pushed by a lot of people's churches and and creating more kids and having more people out there.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to know is you see on social media the populations are collapsing all around the world. Japan's population, everybody, all these places are population collapsing. But then again, it's like no, that can't be true because you drive around or you try to get an airplane ticket and
Oh my gosh.
you can't
Yeah.
go anywhere
Go
to do anything.
Target on a weekend before in December.
Yeah.
I went to Target on Sunday to just pick up some random stuff. Like Fawn has all these dance teachers that need like a little chocolate and a little gift card and whatever. I was like, you would think it's Christmas Eve. It was packed.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out.
People were running around like, I got to figure out Christmas immediately. And I was like, what is going on?
But also nicer weather,
Yeah,
it's
people
got
are, yeah.
people out.
Yeah, this
and-
weekend was really nice weather.
Yep, it's good. But it's good
mean,
to see.
Are the
Yeah.
populations collapsing or are they not?
I don't see any collapse
No,
anywhere
yeah,
where I am.
I haven't seen anybody talking about anybody collapsing either, but
Yeah.
There's all kinds of charts out there about Japan for sure. That's a huge one. And
Well, yeah.
I guess
It's had-
Americans, I mean, they're only having 1.7 or 1.4 children, where it has to be a 2.3 to keep the population steady.
Well, the fertility, the replacement rate is debatable because the reason it's not two, because you would think like, okay, you have a couple has two kids, there you go, 2 for 2, they're replaced. The reason it's higher than 2 is because of things like mortality. Not
Yeah,
everyone lives to have a
Yeah.
child,
Yeah.
but 2.2 is a number from a while ago when mortality was higher. So it might not be that high, but it is below 2. It's currently apparently 1.6. But I mean, it's that way pretty much everywhere. Even I think India is below fertility rate at this point.
That's
And
hard
then
to believe.
isn't there a huge switch that I thought I was seeing something or hearing something the last couple of weeks about like the death rate in like age 1 to 7 is like huge, but the death rate from once you make 30 or 25, your death rate goes way down until you're like in your 70s or 80s.
The death rate 0 to 1 is relatively high. If you make it to 1, you're pretty much good for a very, very
Maybe
long
that's
time.
the number.
Yeah.
But I was surprised by that difference.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, it's like the first like month or 2 of life, the death rate is actually pretty high.
no.
But you make it to the 3-month mark, it goes way down. You make it to the 1-year mark, it drops to basically 0. I mean, bad things always happen, but statistically, if you make it to 1, you are good for at least 20 years.
Did you know that England right now, their healthcare system is so horrendous, and
Yes,
they
I
they have one of the highest maternal fetal death rates of all time.
Yeah, the
Wow.
NHS is so insanely
It's-
swamped because everyone just goes to the emergency room for everything because it's free.
Well,
So everyone's just got a waiting time of like 8 years to get things fixed.
one of my friends, Becky, was just here, my British
Mhm.
friend, and she was
Becky.
talking about how she has a friend that's pregnant right now, and she has what I had, where she's like constantly sick all of the time. And she went to the emergency room because she's needed fluids a few times.
They give her a hamburger.
No, they leave her. She's had to lay on the floor of the hospital for 2 straight days waiting to even be seen. She had to go up to somebody and say, I'm going to die here. I will die right here on this floor unless I am seen.
Wow.
And then they like found her a cot somewhere and gave her some fluids.
Yep.
Like waiting times in hospital or ERs, they don't call them ERs.
No, they have a special
It's
name for
something
them.
else. I'm trying to think of what it
Yeah, I
is.
know what you're talking about.
Triage.
No.
It
I know.
is the
What?
A&E, accident and
A&E.
emergency.
Yes,
Yep.
A&E. Yeah, she's like the regular waiting time is like 3 days. to go to
3
A&E.
days.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show that no matter how much you raise the cost of healthcare, doesn't mean it's good.
Well, and like she has a friend that's about to graduate from nursing school, and no one is going to nursing school because nurses can't find jobs because the
Right.
government won't pay them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
You
Enough
can't
money.
find jobs?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's
Well,
nobody can get jobs
That's
as a
one,
nurse.
one big advantage. An older white guy with a little chest pain, boy, he gets front of the row.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not anymore.
That guy
Yep.
dying
Oh.
here.
It's heartburn,
You know?
but
Maybe
whatever.
40 years ago.
Whatever.
I
know,
just was
yeah,
I was just reading a post of a guy that gives not a guy, a doctor whose job is to do colonoscopies. He says, I make $150 for every colonoscopy. So everybody thinks that because it costs $7,000 to have a colonoscopy, that I am just, but he does one every half an hour
Yep.
all
Yeah.
day long. So he makes makes a decent living.
Right. But,
But
the,
all
the
of that
hospital-
money does not go to the
Yeah.
doctor. $150 goes to the doctor
Yeah,
for your
it
colonoscopy.
mostly goes to the administrators in the hospital itself.
Exactly. So he's like, so all of these healthcare costs that everyone is mad about, it's not my fault. Don't blame the doctors. Although some of the richest people I know are doctors. So
Yes.
Well,
but they
doctors
probably
make a
invested
ton of
wisely.
money. But I mean, it's not like, they don't make so much money that their salary explains things.
So the joy of my last colonoscopy, they talked to me about Tom.
Oh, great.
Asked me
That
about
a-hole. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, they ask questions about you. So what's he really like? He was in here. We met him, but what's he really like? I'm like, yeah, he's writing a book.
Oh, God, great. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's all I
Awkward.
need.
Well, maybe
little
it took
weird.
your mind off the,
No, it was
procedure.
fine. I got to watch the whole thing on TV. It was kind of cool.
They have to knock me
It was all
out.
narrated. They couldn't knock me out because I didn't have a ride home. So since I have a ride home, they can't give you the stuff because a taxi driver might, I don't know, leave you in a field.
That's
So-
true.
Because this has happened to me a couple times with my brother Daryl.
Yep.
I answer the telephone. Hello. I'm telling you, if you ever need a colonoscopy, it's the greatest thing. The drugs are fantastic. I would have a colonoscopy every day
Every
of my
day.
life.
There's a healthy mindset.
Okay.
And I'm like, really? Where are you right now? I'm in recovery. And it's like, man.
A lot of people say that they wake up
great.
from recovery and they feel great. When I wake up from recovery, I do not feel great.
I would say I feel probably. I mean, I never.
He's like, these
I've
are
only
the
been
best
put under
drugs.
for something one time, and that was when I broke my arm and I needed surgery.
And that was a long time
That was
ago.
I was 9,
Yeah.
so I don't remember.
Yeah, I've
but
had-
I can only imagine that I would feel horrible.
You wouldn't feel good. I've had plenty of experience with surgery in the past few years.
Yes, you. really
And
have.
I wake up and it's like, it's like when you're insanely tired and then you go to sleep and then like an hour later something wakes you up.
Ugh, I
Like
hate
all you want in the entire universe is just to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I wake up from surgery.
You have
I
bad
just-
reactions to anesthesia, don't you, Andy?
Yes.
Not that bad. I mean, I'd say my experience is fairly common. I don't have I don't get sick or anything like that.
I have an incredibly high pain tolerance, and so I feel like generally I'm just like, no, don't give me anything.
Well, for things like having an organ removed, you're
Yeah,
going to
you
want
can't.
to.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously,
How much
that
of
kind
those
of-
drugs?
But like
you can
colonoscopy, I feel like I'd just be like,
do? Most people honestly
Whatever.
don't even need anything for them.
Did you get an epidural for either of the kids?
No.
Nope. Way
nope,
to go.
they're born in a bathtub,
I didn't either.
Way to go. Oh, you did that whole thing with
Yeah.
the doula and all that.
and they're both born
Eating kale.
very quickly.
Singing Kumbaya.
We were, yeah, I
Jeez.
was laughing and talking about the Muppets,
Okay.
and Sage was 10 pounds, so
Yeah.
yeah, easy
10
peasy.
pounds,
See, I have
AG.
I've had so many times because like at the dentist,
Mhm.
if they give me the normal amount of Novocaine that they give to a regular person, half of my face is
That was dumb. You
dead
don't do
for
that.
like 5 hours.
Okay.
And so I'm like, depending on the filling that I get, sometimes I'm like, give me like a quarter of what you usually give somebody.
It's fun to spit though. That's always fun.
Ugh, I hate it. I
love that.
hate it.
I hate it, too.
absolutely hate the feeling of Novocaine.
It's the worst.
And so usually if I'm like, is it a small filling? I'm like, don't give me anything. And they just do it, and I don't have it doesn't hurt. I don't.
Doesn't burn? You
No.
don't feel a burning
No,
sensation?
I don't know.
When I
don't
was when I was in second grade, they gave me this little green cup that they banned the next year.
great.
And apparently, I was.
That's why.
I thought it was fun to be in the taxi going home with my mom, filling my mouth up with blood and spitting it out on all different people. I thought that was.
Oh, God.
Don't do that.
Nice.
Was that a root canal?
No, I had, I don't know. I think it was a tooth extraction or something, where they
Oh.
left it open and I was bleeding. But yeah, they banned that stuff after. So I
I
don't know. what
remember
they gave me.
bringing Andy to the what is that? What's the surgeon that does that?
Dentist?
No,
An oral surgeon?
Yeah.
oral surgeon. There's a
surgeon,
name
yeah.
for them. I don't remember what.
Orthodontic surgeon.
No, maxillosuccular something.
Oh.
I don't know.
There you go.
Anyway, I remember I was waiting for you to get your wisdom teeth out, and you've got all this bloody gauze in your cheeks, and you're like,
Pretty.
you walked right into a wall,
Sure.
and I'm like, I kind of laughed, and you were like, because I laughed, and then I had to get you in, and you're talking, and this bloody gauze is just falling out of your mouth, and I'm like, maybe you should not talk. I think we should go back in and get some gauze for the ride home. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
I just thought of something here. I was going around the room because, Michael, you have 2 children, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Well, and then Allie has 2 boys too.
Right. Okay. So, but I mean, originally, So Catherine and I we've replaced ourselves with the two people on screen with us, Andy and Alex. So if you added up between the five of us, there are 2, 4, 6, 8. So out of 5 people who are all married, there are only 8 children. So you've got 10 people and 8 children. We're not replacing ourselves.
No, because you and Catherine have the
you're
same two.
Yeah, you got-
So you're one unit. So
Yeah.
we're
Right.
So you're
it's 4
replacing
couples with 8 kids.
Yeah, so 10 to 10
Yeah,
or
10.
whatever.
So we're equal.
Yeah.
We've replaced ourselves.
That's right.
I know, but you got to make up for all the people that don't have children.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, not. What do you?
Yeah, that's why you need to have. That's why it needs to be above 2. Because
But then
some
I have
people-
friends I have one friend that was an only child and she has 6 kids.
But that's not that often.
No.
Anymore.
So
There's a ton of people that I know that have 4 kids.
Well,
3
really?
kids.
Yeah. I don't.
Another kid there, Tom.
No, what I'm looking at basically is if we're not replacing ourselves, it's going to be rather interesting this time. Because my family, Terry, the oldest, has 3 kids. Bobby adopted, so she never had her own children. Vicky had 1 child. Catherine and I had 2. Todd married a woman with a child, so he never had any children of his own. Tony had 2.
Tony had, 2 of his own.
And Troy never had any. So
Yeah.
when you add up my family with the, marriages and all that, there were a total of 13 people, and there were about 2/3 of that in children's for the next generation. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people are not having those. Well, Alex said she knows some people that are, but I mean, I came from a family of 7 kids, and 3 people in my family didn't even have kids.
But I
Yeah.
don't think that you should use your family as this is normal situation. Because a lot of the time, people that have difficult parental situations don't have children.
Well, I suppose that's true, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like one of the
Probably is
people that
true.
I know that is like, I do not want kids. She has a very difficult relationship with her mother, and she's just like, I have no interest in being that at all. And so that's why she's like, I don't want kids.
Well, I mean, I got along well with my mother, but I've never gotten along with my kids. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like you have to kind of look more at families of just like standard upbringing and things were generally good.
Like Nana?
yeah, like
When I
Mom's
was coming
family
up,
was-
everybody had. I mean, we thought that a small family was 2 people, a very small family. We felt sorry for
Yeah.
people that only had 2 kids. It's like, who do you play with? What do you do? How do you
Yeah,
play
there you
baseball
go.
when you only have 2 in your family?
Sounds
I mean, it was really, really normal to have 4.
Yes, it was.
5, 6. 6 was getting like, oh, why are they having so many kids? But 4 was really kind of average when I was a child.
It was, yeah. Now it's 2.
Yeah, and then when we were married, it was really common for everybody to have 2 because we were told that the population was exploding. And
Yeah.
you're not supposed to do
That's
anything
right.
but have 2 kids.
always swings. And now everybody that I know that they had 2 kids in their family, they're like, we want 3. 2 two's it's just not enough. You need to have more. Like most people that I know are like 3 kids. I want 3 kids, 3 kids,
Yeah,
3
3
kids.
is a good number.
No.
Growing up in
Alex is against
All
3
right.
kids.
growing
I
up,
am. My brother-in-law has 3 kids, and I remember one time he was staying at our house, and he has 3 children, and he took me aside. This is this is when Fawn was a toddler, and he was like, "Do not have 3 children. Don't do it." He was like, the age gap between the oldest and the youngest is horrible because the oldest wants to do older kid things. The little
That's
wants to do little kid things. The middle is stuck in the middle. And he's like, I don't care who you talk to or what you say. The middle child has no identity of their own. They just get lost in
See?
between the two.
Yep,
And he
see?
was just going on. And he was like, the oldest kid wants to eat older kid things. The littlest wants to eat little things. The world is made for even numbers. He just was going on and on and on. And I like when I nannied for families of 3. Every single time they're like, don't let them outnumber you.
man-to-man zone.
Yeah, they were like, you have to play, like, you got to do man-to-man defense. Like, you
Yeah.
can't, do not let them outnumber you. And they all, like, every single one talked about how 3 is just a tough number of.
Tougher, yeah.
So, Tom, are you suggesting as a middle child you had no identity?
It's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm
That's
saying
why I had to go out and
I'm
do a
saying
radio show.
3. It's different when there's more than 3 because then everybody's just
Well, and also the age difference.
Running
It's like the
around.
age difference between Troy and Terry was what, like 20
Yeah.
years?
Yeah.
That's-
24 years. I
That's
think.
not even having 7 kids at that point. It's
Well-
having 6 kids and a grown up who you don't even
How-
doesn't even live with you.
How old were you when you came back from the war, Tom?
When Terry came back,
Came back, yeah.
I was 15.
Yeah, you were
Six-
15.
maybe
Oh, so you were
15 or
older.
16.
A little older. I was
Now
thinking
wait
you
a
were
minute.
younger.
I think you're right about that. I think I was only 13 when he first came
Yeah.
back. No, I think you're right about
Well, how
that.
much older is he than you?
9 years.
Oh, well, yeah, you should have been younger then.
Yeah, if he came back at
Yeah.
was like 21 or 22, wasn't he?
Yeah, something like that. So when he came, yeah. Well, no, see, we'll see. If let's say, so he'd have been 22 if I was 13. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Well, and isn't there's a bunch of research that shows I think it's 6 years. If you have a 6-year age difference between your sibling, you technically have a different childhood and like a
Yeah,
Yeah,
type of
absolutely.
upbringing.
Absolutely. I
Because
feel like
you're-
we had 2 separate family units when I was
Yeah.
growing up
Yep.
because my
Because-
brother is close to me in age, 2 years,
Mhm.
and then there was like a 6-year gap. So my 3 eldest siblings, it was like they were basically out of the house and grown-ups by the time I even knew
Yeah.
what was going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that's how Dan was too. Like he's 8 years younger than him, and his twin brother are 8 years younger than their 2 older brothers. And he's like, absolutely, because it's like it's like because your parents' financial situation is
Yeah.
usually
Yep.
different.
They watch different shows.
They
play
watch,
different
yeah, like
games.
the age of your parents is, yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
Well, especially now. I mean, it's 2 or 3 iPhones. That's you know,
yeah, like
that's-
things
that's
change
a
so
lot of
quickly.
iPhones.
Well, I
you
mean,
know?
there are so many things. I mean, from Sage being born to Ethan being born, I remember when I was looking at their baby registry and I was like, what is half of this
Yeah.
stuff? I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Mhm.
It's not that big of a gap, 2.5 years. And I'm like, there's so many
I
things.
know. Everything moves very quickly.
You know?
How old are your sons now, Michael?
Thomas is 25, and DJ will be 24 in February.
Are they looking at getting married and having children someday?
I don't know. Thomas is still in the master's program, and DJ
Yeah,
is just
so, you know.
being the musician out there, or freeing the world. So I don't think that's his life or his immediate goal, but we'll see. Who knows? So
Well, it changes fast. I didn't ever think that Andy would get
No,
married
I didn't
and
either.
have children. I really didn't think he was ever going to be interested in doing that, and all of a sudden, here he is.
well, Allie's oldest
Here
is
I am.
engaged now, and her youngest is a freshman, so he's 18, I think, right now. So, yep, a lot going on.
There is a lot.
That's a whole different deal, no question about. When we think about family stuff like that, I always wonder why my youngest brother was the first one to die and all that. But you had some speculation on that, didn't you?
On Troy?
Yeah.
Speculation.
Well,
Like we all know why.
yeah, I mean, he had a
He had a
drinking
problem.
Well, he had a huge drinking problem.
Yeah, his
that
liver
is true.
gave out. Literally, that's what
It
happened.
did indeed, but I mean, why did he never get married? Why did he? Because he had all these great girlfriends. I remember they would come around.
Troy was a wounded bird.
He was a wounded
He
bird.
really
It's
was.
true.
He was a wounded bird. I think that just all your family pathology just was kind of like,
Yeah, but I mean, he was too young to remember how nuts my father was. So why didn't he get a break on that?
I know, but I think that I think he felt like he had to like mother your mother
Yeah, that's true.
because she was I mean, your mother, God bless her. She was, and her anxiety level was
Oh,
palpable
God.
at
Oh,
all times.
God.
And
Really?
to grow up with a parent
Yep.
that anxious has got to manifest in sort of desperation, in my opinion.
I still love when I would sit and watch my mother talk on the phone, and she'd take a pull on the Pall Mall, and then she'd talk, and smoke would come out for about a half hour. I was like, blah, 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 blah.
She smoked till she ate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did. Yeah,
I
she
mean,
did.
she was so anxious. She just had to have that mouth, hand-to-mouth comfort thing all the time.
She did.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
she
true.
really was. She was a very anxious person. So I think your brother, Troy,
Had
just
that, yeah.
felt it all the time, and it's
Oh,
hard for a little kid.
Did
to
your
feel
success,
that.
you think, play a role in the way your siblings felt?
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a
Michael's
possibility.
writing questions for the book.
Yeah,
He's like, okay, Bob,
There you
here's
go.
one.
Yeah, that was a whole different deal because it just, well, first of all, I mean, there were a lot of people who did not like the fact that you know, I graduated high school, but I didn't attend high school for the last 2 years because I graduated early and they wouldn't give me my diploma because they wanted their $1,000 a month or whatever it was for me to show up in homeroom. But yeah, because back in those days, and I think it still goes on, each student has their own value in
Oh,
Yeah, they get paid.
yeah. Money from
Yep.
money from the state. I was like,
Yes.
They
private
get paid
school.
butts in seats. It's called.
Mhm.
Yep.
I did go to private school until I was in 8th grade.
Did you? Which one did you go
Catholic
to?
school.
St. Joe's and
Oh,
St.
of course
Anne's.
I know that. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, yeah.
St. Joe's is
Where
torn
the
down
bomb
now.
story came from, and the couple of stories
Yep.
came from. Yep. Mhm.
It's true. The dynamite stories. We stole a case of dynamite. Hey, there's a good move.
Back in the day where you could just leave a case laying around, you know?
Well, it was in the railroad yard. It was their business where they put it. It's just we shouldn't have been in there.
Yeah.
Well, we were
Well,
only
did you
in.
break in or was it just out there?
No,
Like
it was
for-
just you could just walk in
yeah,
the
that's what I
railroad
mean.
yard.
So
Yeah.
that's very irresponsible.
But I was only in 5th grade at the time, so
Yeah, they should
I
have had
wasn't
that
very
stuff
old.
locked up, in my opinion.
Benny Cruchon was with us. I miss Benny. He died a few years ago. I think he died in a motorcycle.
No, wasn't there a
accident.
Was that the Native American guy, the big guy that was?
That
with
was Ronald Cloud.
you? Okay.
His name was Ronald Cloud. Benny Cruchon was a black kid, and that's another reason I love it. The Tom doesn't have any. I went to school with people of color, as they love to call them, my whole damn life. You'd think they do a little research, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
But they don't.
now on a whole different topic, did you see that video of the head guy from the insurance company, the health insurance
Oh,
company?
Brian Thompson or
That's
whatever?
insane.
Which video?
The video of the guy getting shot down in the street.
Yes,
That's
yes.
crazy.
You know, and the reaction to that is what's just
Hideous.
I mean,
Wow.
everybody's mad at insurance. Everybody's
Sure.
mad at the healthcare system. It wasn't Brian Thompson, that was his name. It wasn't Brian
That's his
Thompson's
name, yeah.
fault that that's how the industry is. I
Nobody
mean,
should get shot down the street like that. I don't care who you are. That's crazy.
Right.
You
I
know.
know, but people are saying the most obnoxious
well,
things
yeah,
about how
yeah.
he deserved it, and this better be a warning to other CEOs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yep.
like, wow.
Saturday Night Live did a bit about it.
Oh, did they really?
Oh, they were laughing at the fact this guy got shot to death.
Really?
Yeah, what's his name? The guy that's married to the big shot actress.
What's the guy?
Colin-
Oh, you're talking Colin Quinn.
Colin
Or
Quinn.
No,
Colin somebody.
no, it's
Farrell.
Colin Quinn's the other guy. The
I haven't
the
watched
other
that show
comedian.
in 40
It's,
years.
You're talking about a guy married to Scarlett Johansson.
Yes. Yep.
Colin. I
Can't
know.
remember his
Firth?
name.
Colin
No.
Yost.
Yost. Yeah.
Colin
yeah.
Yost.
Never
there you
heard of
go.
him.
So he made a joke about it.
Oh, yeah, they were laughing about it.
Really?
Yeah, the guy gets shot in the back of the head and you're laughing about it? Really?
Yeah. and the
50
guy
years old.
Well,
walked
it's
right up
amazing.
to him and-
Well,
Yeah.
they've got many visuals of him.
Yeah, they do.
I
Still
mean, they've
get
got
one.
photos of him. It's like somebody's going to figure out who he is.
He's
Well, you got
either dead somewhere or he's in a different country at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think
probably.
you can hide out.
Mhm.
A manhunt like that, there's no way.
Yeah.
You'd think so.
He's probably inside of a barrel full of concrete, very close to
You
a
think they
mob
killed him?
headquarters somewhere.
Wouldn't
Well,
doubt it.
People were saying that it looked like a professional assassination. I'm like, no, because a professional assassination, they don't just like stand there in the middle of the street under street cameras shooting
Yeah.
people like that. And
Yeah,
they,
he
it's
would've worn
usually
a
a quick
mask.
headshot and they're gone. This guy shot him like 2 or 3 times, right?
No, he
No, he
shot him
walked up.
like 20 or something.
Yeah, he walked up and hit him.
Oh,
some
I
more
didn't
after
know
he-
that.
20 times he
Yeah,
did?
Yeah, he unloaded his gun on him and then he cleared a jam and reloaded and then unloaded some more.
And then the
Oh,
bullets had messages on them. That's not a. That's
casings
not
did,
a. Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
deny, delay, and depose. I think it said.
Wow. So it's one of these crazy issues of
Oh, yeah.
coverage or whatever. Like the
Absolutely.
guy who did the shootout at the hospital in Buffalo.
You know, it doesn't surprise me that people are getting this angry because when you're paying, what is it for a family of 4 now? It's like
Depends,
$1,500 a month at least.
Oh, at
1,600.
least.
Depends how you're getting your coverage. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they give you a $10,000 deductible, and then they don't, and then they deny and deny and deny. And United Healthcare, I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying this guy deserved it in any way, shape, or form, but I guess they deny like 32 to 34% of all of their claims.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think United Healthcare is the company that runs Medicare claims through.
I think that's true. Yeah.
I believe that's one of the reasons why they're such a humongous corporation. It's just, I mean, everything sucks. I mean, in Becky's case, in the UK, you're paying 60-70% tax.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well,
you can have this free health care, which is not free. You're
free.
paying for it.
Well, that's the
With
other
your-
thing is, despite all of the money that we pay for healthcare, we still have a lot more money than Europeans do.
Yeah, we do.
I know,
But
but
it's-
it is obscene. It's obscene that you can pay. And to tell you the truth, I don't think healthcare is really healthcare. It's just they're just brokering money.
Yep.
It's not. I feel like if we just got rid of insurance companies altogether and just paid, it would
Yeah.
be cheaper, so much cheaper. Because
there's
I look at when I do have a claim, it's like, okay, well, like to go in and have a skin cancer removed. It's like, oh well, the doctor charges $4,000 to remove a skin cancer. But the insurance company says they're only going to give them $800. So the cost is $800. So if the cost was just $800 and I didn't have to pay tons and tons of money for insurance and deductibles, I would have a lot more money left over at the end of the year to just pay for my own expenses.
Oh yeah, your
Yeah, that's
percentage
true.
of health insurance now has gone up so much from what it was 15, 20 years ago on just people's incomes. Yeah, there's tons of questions about how we're going to be able to even sustain that the way it's going.
We cannot sustain it. If it goes up again, there's just going to be so many people that are just not going to be able to have health insurance at all. And there's many people that don't have health insurance because they're just like, I'll just pay the fine.
Well,
I don't care.
but
I'm not going to do it.
The reality comes is when they end up using emergency rooms as care because they don't have they don't have health insurance and they're required to treat them. And then beyond that, it's if they get hit with a catastrophic number, then they're made homeless. So it's not really a great risk to take.
You can put money in the bank. I mean, think about it, how much money you could save if you had, your $1,600 a month, if you just put that in the bank.
If you did that way.
Yeah.
If you did it that way.
Well, I know people that are self-insuring their houses now because the insurance rates are crazy high and they live in a zone that might have problems and they're just like, we're just self-insuring now. It's ridiculous to give these corporations all this money.
Yep.
And then they don't even give you a check. They won't even help you when something happens.
Yep. I deal with that every day. So
Exactly. So, I mean, the whole system sucks.
yeah.
And it
let's-
needs to be revamped, but I don't know how nobody knows how to revamp it.
Well, nobody's really. I mean, the whole attempt on Obamacare was like the first real attempt to try to do something. But the problem you have is when you got insurance companies on one side fighting it, and saying we don't want this, but then on the other side being the ones who make most of the money off it. It's it was a very odd circumstance.
We were told that if Obamacare went through, that there would be limits on how much insurance companies could make, and all this kind of crap was going to happen, and none of that happened.
Yep.
They made record profits. It's like how so it all fell on the shoulders of hardworking Americans. That's the problem.
That is true.
Well, that's a good way to end the show.
Have we reached an end? So
Oh yeah, it's almost 10 minutes to.
I have a happier note to end. on.
Excellent.
What'd you guys think of the movie last night?
Did you go see Wicked?
No.
No,
They watched-
Alex recommended we watch Biltmore Christmas,
Oh, we loved it.
which is a Hallmark.
Well, it's like a Hallmark made for TV.
Well,
Really
it
good.
actually was really good.
See?
Who was Captain Kirk's number 2 in the new? I mean, the remake of Star Trek when it came back from the old one.
He's also the guy who starred in
Next Generation.
Yeah, Next Generation.
No, what's the
Kirk
what,
wasn't
he-
in Next Generation. It was Picard.
I mean, Picard. Picard's number 2. Who was it?
That would have been Riker,
Yes. What's his real name?
Jonathan Frakes.
He is in it.
Jonathan Frakes.
Oh, there you go. We got there.
We got there.
We got there.
Okay, so the
Jonathan
whole
Frakes.
so the
So
whole
who's
thing.
in this movie?
It's just a bunch of people you wouldn't really know.
Okay.
They're good though. They're all very good.
Yeah, a Biltmore Christmas. So I've been watching cheesy Christmas movies because
We did too yesterday.
So
Yeah,
did we.
I've just been like, I watched half of one before I fell asleep last night. Dan was watching the Timberwolves game, and I was like, I'll watch half of one, and then I was like, I'm tired. I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah,
This one's a very Scottish Christmas. this one.
Melissa wants to watch that one. We just started that one, I think, last night.
I will tell you, I probably am like 70% of the way through, and it's much cheesier
Well, of
than
course it
some of
is.
them. But
Is
it's
that
it's
the
still
one
great.
with Brooke
It's still great.
Shields?
No.
they
it's
all
another
have-
Gretchen Wieners from Mean Girls. Every single one,
Yeah,
almost.
they
It's
all star
crazy.
her. Yeah,
Anyway,
Lacey Shamble Garble.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the Biltmore Christmas, I saw it because I was like, the lead woman in it, I think, was in One Tree Hill, actually, which I was a fan of when I was like a
You
preteen,
sure were.
whatever. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen her in anything, whatever. And then it was like, my parents have been to the Biltmore. I'll watch this and see if it's any good. And the whole thing is, she's a writer in current time, and she's doing a rewrite of a classic Christmas movie called His Merry Wife. And she's trying to change the ending of it, and then ends up going to the Biltmore because the original movie was filmed at the Biltmore. And then she ends up traveling back in time and ending up on the set of His Merry Wife, which was filmed in the 40s, was it?
Yeah.
It was like 48
I think so.
or something like that. And so there was like time travel. It was at the Biltmore, and the movie was a lot of the movie is set in the 40s. And so I was like, I think my dad will really like this movie.
Phenomenal.
I knew you would. I was watching it. I was like, they will love this because they've been there and it's old school and it'll be great.
Yeah, she was One Tree Hill, and she also was in Dexter for 5
that's-
episodes. I don't
Oh.
remember.
I don't
her.
remember that, but
I
I,
don't remember her at all.
very much remember her in One Tree Hill because she was one of the main people.
Yeah, she was in it for a long time. So.
But I'm glad that you liked it because as I was watching it, I was like, my parents need to watch this. They would love this.
Andy, it's an hour and 10 minutes long. You should watch it.
You know, it's like, yeah, it's very short, and it's sweet, and it's not nearly as cheesy as a lot of them are.
Exactly. Yep.
It actually was like a pretty good movie.
Is Hallmark still doing the when a woman meets
Yes.
a man
Oh,
who she
every
can't
single-
stand and then ends up loving him? Is that how they still are?
Or
All of-
she goes back to her small town.
That's the
for
one we watched
whatever
yesterday,
reason, and then finds this man that
Yep,
she was
exactly.
friends with or knew or is new to town, and they fall in
It
love.
was
What did you watch
It was
yesterday?
It was called Haul Out the Holly.
I've watched one and two.
Oh, God, here we go.
I've watched
She
one
goes
and
back
two.
to her childhood
Yeah.
home, and she meets her childhood friend. He's all grown up and handsome now, and he's got to become
That's
Santa.
great.
And then they
It's
fall
great.
in love. And honestly, we were folding our laundry while the movie was
Exactly.
playing.
It's
like,
perfect for
yeah.
that kind of thing.
And at one point, I look over and the credits are rolling, and I'm like, this movie just is over. There was no proper ending.
Because there's Haul Out the Holly
There's
all lit up.
All lit up. Yeah.
I watched Landman and the
So,
second half of Yellowstone last night. The
Landman's
Sounds-
phenomenal.
it
boo.
was good.
It's not about Christmas at all.
It's good. You know. We
Mike
did put up
from-
the tree though yesterday.
Mike from
Yes.
Blaine wants to know the name of the time travel movie you're talking about.
A Biltmore Christmas.
Biltmore
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yes.
Yes, it's very
Really good.
yeah, and it's really pretty. The scenery's really pretty.
Oh,
It's
well,
on
the
Netflix,
Biltmore
by the way.
is just a gorgeous
Netflix?
area.
Yes,
on
and it's
Netflix.
like
Are
net
Hallmarks on Netflix?
for for December.
Okay.
That's it. They go away December 31st, but
Mhm.
Yep.
they're all on there. And yeah, I'm watching Very Scottish Christmas right now. I'll finish that today.
You know what, Hot Frosty?
I don't know if I'm gonna watch Hot Frosty.
No.
That looks a little too cheesy.
It's gross.
I don't know.
What's
'Cause
the
I feel
one
like
that
there are a
Brooke
lot of-
Shields was in? She went to Scotland in one of them.
Brooke Shields.
I thought that was a very
Scotland
Scottish
movie.
Christmas.
That was a Castle for Christmas.
Hey,
A Castle
all
for
right.
Christmas.
And I think we watched that one. I don't know.
Is
They
that
all
also
kind of.
Hallmark?
Yeah, they all.
No, that's
don't know.
Netflix.
No, it's Netflix.
Oh, just
Well,
Netflix.
oh,
They all
just Netflix.
blend together,
Okay.
though. I mean,
And
Yeah.
the new Lindsay Lohan one is what?
Lindsay Lohan's
Our
doing
Little
a Hallmark?
Secret.
Our Little Secret.
It was,
I think we're
it's-
gonna
it's
try that
Netflix,
one.
But it's,
Okay.
I watched that one and I actually really liked it. I think
Yeah,
you
you
guys will
liked
think it's funny, and I was like, this is actually a pretty funny movie. I think that you'll like it.
Okay.
Good to know.
All right, that is going to do it. Hell of a good show today. You guys all contributed beautifully.
Oh,
Yes. Call in with
Great.
Christmas movie tips.
Yep. Christmas movie tips.
gonna
Call
say-
them in.
by Wednesday I'll probably have watched a couple more,
I like it.
one or two.
so I'll let you know.
All right.
Go watch the
Talk to you
sequel.
tomorrow.
Bye.
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 Picture in my pocket reminds me of this one was before. Every time I hear the singing reminds me how you talking